There you go, recording in progress. And I found a way to put all the recordings in the Facebook group, which I think will be easier for people to watch. And it's doesn't mean hello there.
Hello there.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
So we were just, we have, let's see if I got the locations right. We have Marilyn in Colorado. We have Joan in Vancouver. We have Cora Lynn in British Columbia. Or is that what you said? Yeah.
Victoria, yeah.
Victoria. And we have Sharon, who today is in Florida and tomorrow will be in Chicago.
Nobody in New England with all the snow.
No, what a shame, huh?
I wish I had gotten some, let me tell you. Okay.
All right, what slide, do you want to start the slides right away?
Yes, if you would please. We were on pros and cons, I think, weren't we?
We didn't start it. You were going to start it and then I made you stop.
Right, right.
I'm
Okay.
gonna make you co-host. I don't know if that makes any difference, but it probably makes you feel more powerful. So
Oh, I don't need to be made to feel more powerful. I already know.
yeah. All right, self-soothing. I think we're on the one below that. Let me start the PowerPoint thing. Here we go from the current slide. All right, so I think it's the next slide.
I think so.
Are we going here?
Okay, where are we?
Crisis survival
Hold on a
skills.
second. This is
Okay,
so
no
big.
hurry.
I can't even see it. It's so big. Okay. Yeah, this is okay. I just reduced it. It's okay. That's one of the great joys of having everything magnified. It falls off the sides.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely, lovely. Okay, so pros and cons. Pros and cons is essentially a way to introduce your rational mind into your thought process. And did I go over wise mind? Did I go over emotional mind, rational mind, and wise mind?
You did.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So basically, in order to get into wise mind, you have to somehow introduce rational mind into the process. Because when you are in a crisis, you have a tendency to think with your emotional mind, which doesn't really work very well. Because then we end up, proverbially speaking, shooting ourselves in the foot. So this is just a little simple thing that you can do. You describe the crisis behavior, and then you examine the advantages and disadvantages of the behavior. You consider both the short-term and the long-term consequences, and consider pros and cons for each different crisis urge. What would I really want to eat the entire chocolate cake? What are the pros of eating that cake? What are the cons of eating that cake? And what are the pros and cons of not eating that cake? Okay, so then you can rehearse your pros and cons, look it over, and you can, like review earlier ones or whatever. Next slide, please.
Hold on.
Okay, now, one of the things that we do in DBT with pros and cons is we actually have a, Lynn, can you move that up a little bit or no?
No. I can't.
Okay, we actually have a 4-cell pros and cons. Traditionally, at least when I was younger, before I was doing DBT, my pros and cons were 2 lists. These are the pros to something, these are the cons for something. But when you do pros and cons with DBT, you actually have pros and cons for both of the things. Like I should eat the entire cake. What are the pros of that? What are the cons of that? I should not eat the entire cake. What are the pros and the cons of that? So if I would act on the crisis urge and eat the entire chocolate cake, it would be, oh, I'm going to feel better. I'm really going to like that chocolate cake. It's one of my more favorite things. A con of eating it might be that I am going to get a tummy ache. It might be that I put on another 3 pounds. And you do that. And then you look at the other ones. What would be the cons? And sometimes, believe it or not, even though you think, well, they're going to be the same, occasionally you actually come up with some different things in the cells as opposed, but they go, you know, they're diagonal. They go together diagonally. And as again, like I said, this is a way to introduce your rational mind into the equation. How can I get into wise mind as opposed to staying in emotional mind and doing something really stupid, you know, and getting myself all upset. Next slide, please.
I'm trying. There we go.
Here we go. Oh, the stop skill. This is one of those things that you do when you are trying to, oh, there's all sorts of people coming here.
Mhm.
This is one of these things that you try to do when you find yourself again going to do something that you don't think is going to be helpful. And it keeps you from acting impulsively on emotions and making a difficult situation worse. Once again, we do not want you to be shooting yourself in the foot. Next slide, please. Okay, stop still is exactly what it says. You're just about ready to do something and you stop. And you take a step back, mentally or physically or both, and you actually detach from the situation. And then you use your observe skill. You are no longer part of it. You are in the audience watching what's going on the stage, and you actually look around and you gather information and you say, okay, what's going on here? You know, like what actually is happening? Check reality. Check, you know, DBT is huge on checking reality. And then you proceed mindfully. You actually think, what is the most effective option to take given my goals? And you follow through in that option. And that word goals is so important. Actions should take us to goals, but so very often when we are acting emotionally, it doesn't help us get to our goal at all. It may help us to reduce the distress in that particular time, but it doesn't get us where we want to go. And it often causes more problems. Okay, go on, Lynn. Okay, tip. Tip is one of the most important skills you are ever going to learn if you have panic attacks. This is one of the big skills when you are so distraught, when your SUDS, which is subjective units of distress, are up around 9, 10, and you can't even think straight. All you're doing is panicking. And tip basically is temperature, intense exercise, and paced breathing. And then you can also do paired muscle relaxation, but that kind of gets forgotten a lot of the time. And this is a temporary fix, okay? Tip will get you into the position that you can actually do other things that will help. And it changes your biology. Okay. And do we have another slide? Okay. Whoops. Okay. I did not. Okay. I should do more about tip. I'm sorry.
Well,
That's
okay,
it.
I'll go back. I want to
Okay.
ask a question about
Yes.
tips.
I want to, whoops, that's not it.
How in the heck I went backwards?
Okay.
Oh,
Now you're going forward, I think.
well, that's really weird.
Okay. Tip is basically temperature, intense exercise, and pace breathing. Okay. So the first part is the temperature. And the way this is done is that you get ice. You know, somewhere, either if you have an ice pack that you can keep in the refrigerator, or get, one, okay, forward now.
Yep.
Okay, get an ice pack or get one of those cold packs that you can keep in your refrigerator. And what you do is you put it on your face. Now, this is related to when, I don't know, many years ago when I was a kid, every once in a while you would hear a story. Johnny Smith of Frozen Toes, Minnesota, was pulled out. There you go. Good job. Was pulled out from under the ice. Johnny, age 3, is expected to make a full recovery. So, anybody remember those stories?
Yes.
Okay. Alrighty. And I've got my puppy child is here hitting at the, go away. Okay. So at any rate, basically what Johnny was doing was he was cold, he was not breathing, and he was face down. And that actually triggered his parasympathetic nervous system to shut everything down. So his heart rate went down, his oxygen consumption went down, his blood pressure went down, his body temperature went down, everything calmed. So that's what TIP is. TIP, the temperature part is you get your ice, you put it on your face, you hold your breath, and you go parallel to the floor. Okay?
Parallel to the floor.
Parallel.
Oh, so if you bend at the waist, then, okay.
Then you are parallel to the
Yeah,
floor.
yeah, okay.
Okay. At least your top end. Okay, now you stay there until you cannot stand not to breathe, and you come up. And then you say, okay, how distressed am I? And with any luck, you've gone from a 9 or a 10 to a 7 or an 8. If you haven't, if you've not moved at all, you do it again. Okay, and then suppose that you actually do come to a 7 or an 8. Okay, oh, excuse me. And after that, because you are totally distressed and your body is in a fight, flight, or freeze state, you are full of adrenaline. Okay, just full of adrenaline. So after you get down, after you get a little farther down on your SUD scale, on your subjective units of distress scale, then you go into the intense exercise to burn off the adrenaline. Okay, so you do the temperature, you do the exercise to reduce the adrenaline, and then you go into paced breathing. And did we go over how to breathe?
Yep, we did.
Okay, so hopefully by now everybody knows how to breathe. It's abdominal breathing, and you remember that when some of your children or somebody else's child was sleeping, it was the tummy that was breathing. Okay. And, like TIP, basically what you need to do with TIP is cool the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve comes closest to the surface up around here. So that's what that is. Any questions on that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Having had panic attacks, one of the therapists that I had didn't have a clue about this. What they were using at the time, and I cannot remember the name of it, was the let it flow over you. Let the wave flow over you, which certainly did not help. So okay. Let me go back through this. I'm putting myself back in.
You know what she was talking about?
What?
Okay. Emotion is a physiological response. Your body cannot maintain a physiological response forever, particularly a biochemical response. Your biochemicals flood and they're reabsorbed. And if you allow them, if you breathe through it and allow it to go over you and don't do anything about it, it will indeed go away.
Not very fast in my experience.
Well, it's like, okay, most emotions will be gone in 3 minutes. Really? Unless you do, oh yeah. Unless, this is my beautiful drawing here. Unless you do something like this, and I don't know, can you see the lines I just put on there?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. You are triggered. It goes up, it comes down. Okay. Ideally, you will not trigger yourself again. You will not be thinking of anything that's going to upset you. But if you are, you're going up, you get triggered again, it goes up again, you get triggered again, it goes up again. And before you know it, you're thinking that you have been constantly distraught, like up here.
Yeah.
But in actuality, it's going up, it's coming down, it's re-triggered. It goes up, it goes down, it's re-triggered. So what's happening is your thought process or something in your environment that's continually triggering you so that it seems like it's staying up there.
Okay.
Okay. If
Makes
you
sense.
are able to just let it go and not pay a lot of attention, I mean, not actually trigger it again, which is kind of tough, you know, that won't happen.
Well, this makes much more sense to me. Luckily, I don't have panic attacks very frequently, but I can tell you one thing, I will use this instead of letting it flow. Okay, I'm
Okay.
done.
So, I mean, you know, just basic, this has a physiological basis to it.
Yeah.
You know, you're triggering your parasympathetic nervous system, which is on the teeter-totter with the sympathetic nervous system.
Yeah.
So, okay, next. Okay, introduction. Okay, good job, Sue. To reality acceptance skills.
What, man?
Now, this is the second part
All right,
of
well, come on in, sit here.
No, I'm gonna lay on the bed in a few minutes.
Okay.
I can't do anymore.
Okay, I'm gonna put everybody on mute if I can find it.
Sorry about
And
that.
then you can, oh, I can't find it.
unmute myself then.
There we go. And then I'll unmute you, Sue, or you can unmute yourself.
If I can see it.
There, you got it.
Okay, now
We're fine.
you can hear me, yes?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. Your crisis survival skills are just that, for a crisis. Now, your reality acceptance skills are for the long term. And the way I, you know, like when I teach this, I have used the Chilean mine disaster as an example. And I think I mentioned that last time. There was a cave-in. 31 people were 2 Empire State Buildings below the ground for 69 days. Now, the first day was the crisis. Oh my God, we are stuck. The next 68 days were, how are we going to deal with this situation? And there are 6 basic reality acceptance skills. One is radical acceptance. The other is turning the mind. Then we've got willfulness versus willingness. And then we have half smile. And then we have willing hands. And then we have mindful of current thoughts and just basic awareness. Okay, if you would. Next.
Whoa, I did. I thought I did. There we go.
Okay. Okay, reality acceptance focuses on cultivating acceptance in the long term. Like I just said, crisis survival is the short term. Crisis survival is the first day underground. Reality acceptance is the other 68. Again, please. Okay, reality is easier to grasp if it didn't involve accepting pain. It would be so lovely if we could just say, oh yeah, this is the way it is. There's no pain. Pain is inevitable. It is absolutely inevitable. Every life has a lot of pain. And most of you know the story of Siddhartha, the Buddha, and he determined that life is pain. But another thing that he determined is that avoidance and refusal adds suffering to pain. Pain and suffering are 2 different things. Okay, and suffering is pain with non-acceptance. And there's an old saying, which is, it's all a matter of mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. Okay, you are not going to suffer if you accept. You're going to be in pain. Oh yeah, but you're not going to suffer. Okay, next, please. Okay, suffering increases when people are clinging to their ideas of what reality should be, rather than what it actually is, what's in the present moment. And DBT comes down really heavy on shoulds and oughts, and it needs to be this, and it must be that. Well, who died and made you God? You know, and if you say it must be this way and it can't be any other way, well, sometimes reality doesn't cooperate. And if you're not willing to accept what is actually happening and constantly rejecting it, then you are constantly being brought short by what is real and disappointed and frustrated, which becomes suffering. Okay, next. Okay, radical acceptance is completely and totally being open to the facts of reality as they are, without throwing a temper tantrum and without responding with willful ineffectiveness. And again, this is, you know, completely and totally, and no, it's not going to happen one time. It's not going to happen, you know, it's not going to just happen. It's not going to just happen after a week. You don't have it. You don't keep it once you've got it. This is a constant acceptance, acceptance and acceptance. This is the way it is. This is the way it is. And throwing temper tantrums and refusing reality is not going to help. Okay, and that has two concepts in here. Willfulness, which we are going to get to, and being ineffective. And I did touch upon ineffectiveness earlier, but being effective is doing what works. And it's my skirt story. Okay, and I think I told that because I always tell that.
I
I
don't
tell my-
remember the
Okay,
skirt
I didn't tell
story.
my skirt story. Okay,
I don't-
my mother-in-law owned a motel, and my mother-in-law didn't get out a lot, but she loved to shop. And the house was in the middle of the motel. And when she got to the point that we needed to move her out of there and put her into a small assisted living home, I kind of ended up cleaning the house. And my mother-in-law had something like 12 walk-in closets full of clothes.
More than you?
More than me. I am
Wow.
a taker. I am nothing compared to Joni. I assure you. I mean, you know, like we found leather purses, 4 of the same thing in different colors, shoved in bags with the tags still on them, and the tags were like 10 years ago. It was like insane. I mean, I literally had people in there and I was giving stuff away. I was having open houses. But as I went through it, I would find stuff that I liked and throw it on a pile because I didn't have time to try it all on. So one day I'm getting ready for work and I have my outfit all picked out, and I've got 5 minutes before I got to be out the door. Everything looks great. I put on the skirt and the skirt goes down to my ankles. Well, it turns out apparently I grabbed a skirt that had belonged to one of my sister-in-laws, and it was quite large. Now I probably should have changed and had a totally different outfit, but I had 5 minutes to get to work. I could have gotten out the trusty little sewing machine and sewed it, but sewing and I do not get along. Okay, or I could have done what I did, which was go in the drawer, and I used to have one right here, but go in the drawer and grab out a binder clip. And you guys know what the binder clips look like, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I folded my skirt over, put a pleat in it, binder clipped it, pulled my sweater on the top down over my skirt, and I went to work. Now, was this the proper way to do it. No, my 7th grade home ec teacher was rolling in her grave for me to have done it that way. Did it work? It worked. And it became a story for me teaching, but it worked. And effectiveness is what works. It's not saying we always did it this way. It's not saying this is the way it should be done. It's how do I get myself to my goal? And sometimes if we're not accepting, if we say it has to be this way because it's always been this way, we get ourselves all worked up and we don't get the job done. And, should is not necessarily the way that you go. It just isn't. Okay, next. What we got? Okay, alrighty. Reality is what it is. And people hate that when you say it is what it is. Well, what do you mean it is what it is? It is what it is. There are some things I can't change, and that is the reality of life. And another reality of life is everybody's future has limitations. I assure you, I was never going to be a runway model. It wasn't going to happen. I've got some talents, but beauty or being slender, no. So everybody has limitations.
Well, you also never intended to be legally blind.
No, and everybody has limitations.
Yeah.
Like I not only never had a great future as a runway model, I happen to be legally blind. So I'm sure everybody else has limitations too. I mean, I can dance. I know people who cannot dance to save their lives.
Me.
That's a limitation. Okay, everything has a cause. And where we get hung up on this when I'm dealing with clients is everything has a cause. It's not necessarily you. People will go, well, if I ate three bushels of kale a day, I should have eaten 3 bushels of kale a day and then my eyes would be okay. Or I should not have gone to the beach without my sunglasses. And then my eyes would be okay. No, it's not something you did. My father had it. I think my grandfather had it. I am female. I'm white. I'm well over 65. I mean, it's like, there's a cause, but it was in a quirk in a gene thousands of years ago.
And I published your article titled "Why Not Me?"
Why not?
Yeah.
Yep. Why not me?
All the risk factors.
Mm-hmm. I mean, as I got older, I had a lovely, lovely, lovely bullseye on my forehead for this stuff.
I think, though, that there are some people who can't look at their family history because they don't have one, and they can't look at anything else that they know about, and they get tripped up on that. There's a cause, they just don't know it, and maybe the doctors don't know it yet either. The trouble with AMD is there is just a lot we know, but there's a lot we don't know.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, simple fact of the matter is up until a few decades ago, most of us died before we got this. It was, so, it's not something, I don't truly believe it's something any of you did, because I know it wasn't anything that I did. It's just, that is. And life can be worth living even if there is pain. Absolutely. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm still having fun. And my eyes are no picnic. but I'm still having fun. And do I want to walk in front of a truck tomorrow? No, I don't, because there's still a lot out there. And even if I go totally blind, there's still a lot out there for me. And I'm sure there's still a lot out there for you too. So next. Okay, reality is what it is. You accept your reality in the present moment, and that's an important part of building a life worth living. Because if you're rejecting where you are, you're spending your entire life denying, rejecting. You know, if you accept, then you see the possibilities. And yeah, life is painful. I mean, this is a normal part of life. We have injuries, we have losses, we have deaths. Life is painful, but it's still worth living. And we actually have to accept where we are and use the tools that we have in front of us. So next. Okay, radical acceptance. Accepting that everything has a cause, even if you don't know what it is, can help to reduce the suffering. You're never going to know why you have vision loss. You know, it makes no sense for me to blame it on my father or on my grandfather. It wasn't something that they did, that they gave me. There's a wonky gene up there somewhere. And, you know, it's not knowing what happened is not going to make it easier. It's not going to suddenly make me see. You know, knowing what happened doesn't change anything. You know, and I've had clients that, you know, they want to know why things happen, and they want to know, how's it going to change your situation? Yeah, I don't think it is. Okay, you may always live with the pain. Okay, or long for what was lost, but acceptance can free you from suffering. And, you know, again, the Buddha said that, you know, life is pain and suffering comes from desire. You know, you want something that's not. And if you're going to be spending your entire life mourning for what you don't have, you're not going to be able to enjoy what you do have. So that's that. Continue. Okay. And okay. Pain is an unavoidable part of life. Suffering is avoidable. Pain is mandatory. Suffering is optional, is what they say in DBT. Okay. So if you reject what's happening, oh, this never should have happened. This isn't fair. How am I going to ever stand this? Oh, I mean, you know, I don't know. It's just, to me, you're spending too much time rejecting and complaining and not really looking at what's good in the situation that you do have. I imagine that every single one of you has something good in their lives. Every single one of you has a positive in their lives. And when you just start focusing on what you don't have instead of on what you have, you're losing something. You know, there's also in more vernacular terms, there's a saying that happiness is wanting what you have. Happiness is wanting what you have. You know, you have the little house on the hill that's paid for instead of the mansion. You can swim in the creek in the summer instead of swim in a swimming pool. Those are just as good, very often. As a matter of fact, sometimes I wish I was back to swimming in the creek, because trying to maintain this pool is a pain in the butt. But, you know, it's just the way it is. Next. What have we got? Okay. Accepting reality can bring freedom. Are we going to spend our entire lives looking for an answer to something that may have no answer? Are we going to spend our entire lives looking for a treatment and falling for every charlatan out there? Are we going to accept that maybe right now there is no treatment? You know, that brings freedom. Rather than spending all your money on the new magnetic, electronic, whatever treatment that they're going to do that nobody has had, you know, FDA has never approved, spend your money on doing something fun. You know, it doesn't work. And that's, you know, I think probably I'm beating this to death, but you know, we always feel compelled to do something to stop the pain. And maybe if we just feel the pain and ride it through and accept it, we can stop fighting it and stop putting all our energy into it and actually see what we do have. Okay, next. Okay, radical acceptance is not approval. Nobody says that just because I accept the fact that I have vision loss, nobody is saying to me, oh, you really love having vision loss. It's so wonderful. No. Radical acceptance is not being compassionate or being loving. It is not, if I am accepting somebody, if I am accepting the fact that, okay, what did I see the other day? Okay, on the news, some guy in Europe ran up behind a girl and pushed her in front of a train, and the train just stopped in time. Okay, accepting that he is the type of person that would do that does not mean that I have to be compassionate towards him or love him. It's just a matter of accepting that he did that. You know, okay, you're the person that did it. You know, so you don't have to be, you know, the alcoholic who is constantly causing you problems. You accept that he's an alcoholic. You accept that you have to do something to handle the situation. You don't have to always be compassionate or loving. Radical acceptance is not against change. And I made the, you know, I made a comment about the 4 ways to go about handling a problem. And the one of them, the first one is solving it. Radical acceptance is accepting a situation that you cannot solve. This is the way it is. Now, the absolute instant that you have an ability to solve the problem, do it. You know, I accept that I'm lost a lot of my sight, but I'm also in a clinical trial. And I've got it. I'm like the old Soviet Union. I've got a 10-year plan. I'm just going to keep working until I do get at least some of my sight back. Who knows if it'll happen, but I'm not being, complacent. And it's not surrender. It's not lying down in the middle of the road and letting the truck run over you. You know, and this is my fate. I am accepting it. No, I'm accepting the situation as it is. Okay, and if you accept the pain, people think that they will become passive and just give up. No, acceptance allows you to find other routes. You can go, it allows you to find different doors. You know, if I can't go through the red door, maybe I'll go through the blue one or the green one. It's not a matter of coming up to the door and knocking your head against it when it's locked. It's finding other ways to deal with reality. That one's locked. How can I go? Next. Okay.
Sue, I want to stop here because I want to look at the slides. There was a really, oh, we're getting to it. The next ones, it's 3:15.
Okay.
Darn it. And the next ones are really important.
Okay. So what are we going at so far here? Okay, you're bouncing around, dear.
I know I am because I'm looking for something. Hold on. I wanted,
Okay,
hold on just a second, please.
okay,
All
okay.
right, I wanted to, unless we're going to extend this one more time, I don't want to miss doing
Okay.
this. Hold on. It's here. It's coming. I know.
Okay, we did that. We did this one.
I know.
Did pros
Okay,
and
see
cons.
all these steps sort of pull together what you had talked about before, except for the willfulness, willingness.
Willingness and willfulness. Okay, I have a story for everything.
All right, go ahead. I'll go to willfulness and willingness.
Okay,
Where
this
are
is
we?
my willfulness and willingness.
Go ahead.
Okay, many years ago, because they're in their middle 20s now, I took my two nephews whitewater rafting on the Lehigh. And the little one was about 9. And we get in the raft and we start going down the river, and the sky opens up and it is hailing. Okay, no thunder and lightning, so they're not going to call us off the river, but it is hailing. And he looks at me and he says, "How long are we going to be on this river?" I said, "About 6 hours." And he goes, "I'm not going to be on this river 6 hours." And I said, "What do you intend to do about it?" And he goes, and a few minutes later, "I'm cold. Paddle." "No." "I'm cold. Paddle." "No." "Then stay cold." He is being willful. And later on, when I told his mother this, she says, "What did he expect you to do? Pull a remote control for the weather out of your ass?" Okay.
Or lift him out of the raft and take him to the worming place or something. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, the simple fact of the matter is we were in a situation that we were not going to get out of unless we paddled.
Yeah.
We were in there for 6 hours. It could take us longer if we just, or we could paddle and get out of there a little faster. Now he was being willful. He was trying to tell the world what to do. Well, I don't know about you, but when I try to tell the world what to do, it usually doesn't go very well, at least for me.
Sue, how about we do this?
What's that?
I will, there are steps to practicing radical acceptance, and I think they're really good. How about we pick up right here with, I'll provide them after for everybody, but how about we start with this one, which is number, oh darn, I moved it out of the way.
5, isn't it?
It's opposite to, practice opposite action, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Opposite action is simply doing the opposite of what your emotions are telling you to do. In DBT, you will have an action urge. And if you are angry at somebody, you might want to attack. If you are afraid of something, you might want to, like retreat. Opposite action is if it's not a logic, if your body is not telling you, if your mind and your body are not telling you to do something logical, you do the exact opposite. So if I'm angry at somebody and it's not rational, I have to approach them. If I am, or if I'm very angry and I'm afraid I'm going to hit them, then I retreat. If I'm afraid of something and my body's telling me to withdraw, I should approach. And basically, that's all it is. Opposite action is doing the opposite of what your action urge is, because most emotions have an action urge that goes with them. And it's nice that way. Oh, cope ahead. Cope ahead is imagining yourself in a situation and imagining yourself doing it beautifully.
Sue, I have shared, I asked you to write a visualization for those people who are anxious about injections. And so if you haven't seen that, ask me about it because I have published it several times, but it's really good. It's a very detailed visualization of driving to the office and going through the whole thing, which is what Sue's saying is called Cope Ahead.
I mean,
Go
Cope
ahead.
ahead is simply thinking about it and what am I going to do? What's going to be said? How am I going to react? And Cope ahead will also put in the little quirks that might happen or the little, like problems that you might have. So not so much going for an injection, but if you walk in, say you go to a party and you don't want to really be there anyway, but you walk in and you discover that somebody you can't stand is there. Okay, well, how am I going to act when I come face to face with this person that I despise? And you write a little script in your head of everything that you're going to do to get yourself beautifully through that situation. Basically that's it. You rehearse. Okay, attend to body sensations. And that is just simply noticing what's happening in your body and accepting what's happening and be mindful of the current emotion, because very often we will dismiss what we're feeling. A lot of us have been taught never to listen to our bodies, never to listen to what's actually going on there. And, that we, what do I want to say? That we resist persists. That's what I wanted to say. So if you're rejecting the feeling of, I am really frightened about this. Oh, that's nothing. I'm just, sometimes you have to just feel it. You have to feel the problem, feel the pain and flow through it and then come out the other side. I'm not Jewish, but this is related a lot to Shiva, sitting Shiva, allowing yourself to grieve. Okay, and again, allowing everything to arise within you and accept that this is it. And, yeah, sometimes it's going to be unfortunate. Sometimes you're going to be sad. Sometimes you're going to be grieving. But sadness and grief are part of the human condition. And a lot of what DBT does is basically say, you're human. This is the human condition. Being in pain is the way it is. Recognize that you are grieving, recognize that you're in pain, and essentially get it over with. Because that you resist, like I said, persists. You're constantly fighting. So, okay.
Now these are pretty detailed. And to be honest, can we go forward a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, these are Rhonda's.
Okay,
slide.
we talked about the pros and cons.
Talked about pros and cons. Okay,
Turning the mind.
Okay, turning the mind is something you do 1,000 times a day. I am depressed. I want to stay in bed. No, I got to get up. I would much rather have that pastry for breakfast than cereal. No, I got to have cereal. So you just, every time you come up to a decision point, you look at it and you figure out which one's the better way for you to do it, to get you towards your goal. Again, reality and goals. They're really big concepts in DBT. Accept reality so that you can get to your goals. And 4 steps for turning the mind is, this is for acceptance. Notice that you're not accepted. Make an internal commitment. And believe it or not, this is such a big step. People will say, well, I'm not doing anything to help myself. All I'm doing is thinking about it. Think of what it would be like if you accept it. Think what would happen if you were able to accept. Okay? Do it again and develop a plan for catching yourself when you having problems. Okay, willfulness and willingness. Oh, okay.
Wait.
What? Want to do half smile?
Yeah, let's do, okay. That's good.
Okay. I want everybody to make me a Mona Lisa smile. That little teeny tiny.
I can't do it.
Yes, you can.
Oh.
Now, just kind of hold it a little bit. You know, just tiny up on the corners of your mouth. And I'm thinking, though I can't see her because she's too small right now, but I'm thinking what Linda is talking about is that if you start doing that, the first thing you want to do is make a full smile.
Make up what?
Make a full smile. I
Oh,
can feel it. I can feel it twitch through here.
yeah.
And if I sit here and say, okay, well, what is my mood? It's a 6, 7. And then I do this. And I want to smile. I want to laugh. And my mood is suddenly a 7 or an 8. And half smile, that is because there's a feedback loop between your emotions and your face.
Emotions in the what? Your
the
face?
Not only does your emotions affect your expression affects your emotions. It feeds back. So if you're feeling crappy and you want to feel better, you put a little smile on your face. Not crazy. I mean, we're not going to be going around looking like the Joker. But you put a little smile on your face and it feeds back into your emotions and you start to feel better. That's really, I find that really cool. Okay, willing hands. Okay. Very often I will get a 14, 15-year-old boy. I love 14, 15-year-old boys who come in and they go, I'm not talking to you. Okay, first thing I have them do is shake it out. Willing, and you will find body language. I don't know, particularly some of you who have had 13 and 14 and 15-year-old boys. I'm not doing it. If you can get them to open up, open their hands. You've got them in an open posture, which actually, believe it or not, changes your perception in the brain.
Did I get to the end of the slides?
You got to the end of the slides. The last one was being mindful of current thoughts. And that just basically was that you be aware of what you're thinking. And, look at how it might affect you. Where are we going?
I'm just looking to see, we didn't miss anything. I think we got pretty much everything.
I guess. I don't know. I think.
Yeah. Let's open it up to the group and see if they have, because this is the last session.
Yeah.
Let's
do you want to
see.
post the slide so I can get everybody?
Huh? Go ahead.
Everybody's in a little line and I can't.
Oh,
see.
okay. Let me stop sharing then.
Yes, please.
All right. There we go.
Ah, there we go. Now I'm going to make them all big.
There you go.
I
Hello,
made-
Susan. I see you.
Is she hiding somewhere?
No. Here, I'm going to ask you to unmute, Susan. There you go. That might help you
Here she
find out.
is.
There you go. Okay.
Oh, she's still muted.
Well, if she wants to unmute, she'll unmute.
Okay.
And the rest of you, you can unmute yourself, but what questions do you have for Sue? This is the last session. This is the last 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. So
I find that having open palms as opposed to a clenched fist during times of stress does wonders, just like the breathing. But it's just the action of opening up the palm, which seems to open up my mind. So it's the body, and it relates and comes back to the mind. I've been using that one for a while. And even if I'm sleeping or having a stressful night, I have to say to myself, relax and open your palms.
Yeah, that's willing hand share.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that is. You know, as opposed to the 13-year-old who's sitting there like this.
Yeah. Okay.
We've all known that child at one time or other.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So,
Okay, other comments?
Joan, did you get your initial question about how you can have two things true at the same time? That has been puzzling me. And I want to ask Sue, when you ask, before you go into all the details, Sue, and you ask somebody what two things could be true at the same time, do you ever actually get an answer? I mean, you do?
Yeah, I mean, you need to work. You also need to rest. I mean, this is Ecclesiastes.
Oh, okay.
You know, this is a time, a time to reap, a time to sow,
Okay.
yeah,
Mhm.
this is all. So yeah, two things you need, what we need, what things are, and also, like you can get really philosophical and say that two opposites will define each other.
Well, oh, no, that's not. But Joan, did you get that answer for it satisfactorily?
I'm not sure. I mean, I can see, okay, somebody might like a person and somebody else can totally dislike them, and both of it's true. But I think the concept does go deeper than that. I sometimes think, I like to watch Dr. Phil now and again, and he says something like, I've never seen such a flat pancake that it doesn't have two sides. I don't know whether that kind of explains it a bit better, that you've got two sides all the time, whether you want them or not. I don't know. I don't know.
True.
It's not a very good question, I don't think.
And it is also things like you can love somebody, but not like them all the time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
something like that.
You know?
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about it more.
Okay. Well, you can read up on it, but
Yeah.
after about the first 4 pages of, this actually written as philosophy, my eyes were crossing. So,
It's been a while. It's past college days when you actually been forced to do that, huh?
yes. Okay.
mm,
Well,
It sounds like there's not much else going on here, huh?
I've thanked Sue over and over again, and I'm sure that I'll have to pay for this somewhere along the line in our next 40 years of friendship, but I do thank you a lot.
Okay, no problem.
Sue,
Yeah.
I've already shared some of your lessons with my son
Oh,
in regards to controlling anxiety and certain problems that arise during it. And we've had nice conversations. So
very nice.
thank you for the time you've given us.
No problem.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much for letting me know. And it's just about that time. I don't imagine you can hear her out here scraping at the window. She's
Oh,
scraping.
Maggie?
Yeah, Maggie. Oh, yes. This is the monster, the Maggie monster. She says,
Oh, Maddie, who is not on video, says, thank you, Sue.
you're welcome, Maddie, wherever you are.
Okay, well, I thank everybody who's here. I'll get the rest of the detailed steps. It's basically from 1 to whatever, how to practice radical acceptance. I'll make sure you have that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay,
Thanks
take
a lot,
care.
Sue. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
you.
Bye,
It's
everybody.
very interesting.
Thank you.
Sue.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.